Sure, here's the same text with all the titles removed. Mixed martial arts is more than just a sport. It's a cauldron of emotion, pride, and intense rivalries that often spill beyond the cage and into training, gyms, media, and even personal lives. No story better exemplifies this than the recent shocking brawl involving Ilia Topuria, the rising UFC featherweight champion, and members of Team Khabib at American Top Team at his own training ground. This unprecedented clash has sent shockwaves through the MMA community, and we now have full details on what really went down behind the scenes. For years, fans have clamored for a super fight between Islam Makhachev, the dominant lightweight champion, and protege of Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Ilia Topuria, the Georgian-born Spanish-raised featherweight sensation. Their styles and backstories promise a fight for the ages. Islam's world-class grappling and relentless pressure against Ilia's ferocious striking and knockout power. The only problem, Islam recently moved up to welterweight to claim that title and defend it against fresh contenders at first glance. That seemed to put the dream fight out of reach. Ilia openly revealed that UFC president Dana White told him there would be no moving up to 170 pounds for him, at least not anytime soon. Dana's reasoning: they want Ilia to cement his reign at featherweight before chasing welterweight glory, and they're confident Islam will hold the 170 belt for some time. However, the MMA landscape is never static, and there's a growing sense that circumstances could realign to make this fight possible sooner than anyone imagined. Islam's plans at welterweight are clear. He wants to defend his newly won title and establish a dynasty there. But his upcoming fight against Jack Della, Medella not JDM, might be a crucial turning point. Jack, a rising Australian star, has been written off by many fans as a formidable but beatable opponent. Yet, former welterweight champ Kamaru Usman surprised many by going on record to say that JDM has a real shot at upsetting Islam. Usman's insight into the welterweight division carries weight given his own reign as a dominant champ. On the flip side, Daniel Cormier, one of MMA's most respected analysts, argued that Islam's elite grappling will pose a problem for JDM. Cormier went into detail on a recent podcast, explaining that Islam's wrestling operates on a different level, one that involves intricate footwork, subtle positional control, and relentless pressure that JDM likely won't be ready for. It's not just about shooting double legs or singles, Cormier explained. Islam's wrestling is about baiting, setting traps, controlling the fence, and breaking down opponents mentally and physically. JDM might have athleticism, but he won't understand the wrestling nuances that Islam brings. If Islam pressures early, takes him down repeatedly, and controls the fight, JDM could struggle like never before. This nuanced breakdown underlines why the stakes are so high for JDM. Should he manage to defeat Islam, it's very likely Islam will drop back down to lightweight to reclaim his old throne, setting the stage for the much-anticipated battle with Ilia Topuria. While fans speculate about Topuria's future and potential super fights, one thing remains crystal clear: the deep personal animosity between Ilia and fellow lightweight contender Paddy Pimblett, the flamboyant and outspoken Liverpudlian, recently appeared on a podcast with Brian Ortega and didn't hold back on his feelings. Paddy made it known that his hatred for Ilia runs far deeper than just professional rivalry. It stems from an incident where Paddy made controversial remarks related to Russia and Georgia, a hot-button issue given the political tensions and historical conflicts in the region. "I said what I said and clarified it," Paddy insists. "It was taken out of context. I never meant to disrespect Georgian people or their history, but Ilia keeps acting like I'm some political enemy, twisting it to fit his narrative. That's why I still hate him. Even if I fight him and beat him, that won't change." Ilia, for his part, hasn't backed down. In a recent TMZ Sports interview, El Matador called Pimblett one of the easiest fights at 155 pounds and promised to dominate him, with all the fans around the world wanting to see this fight. "Honestly, I think it's one of the easiest matchups I could have in the lightweight division," Ilia said. "I'll do whatever I want to him in the cage. It's an exciting fight for the fans, and I'll enjoy the process. I can finish him in the first round, maybe even submit him. I'll put my mark on his forehead." The simmering feud between these two fighters adds another dramatic layer to the already vibrant lightweight division. The most jaw-dropping development came from inside American Top Team, a gym synonymous with elite training and respect, but also, recently, the site of a physical confrontation involving Ilia Topuria and members of Team Khabib, including Shavkat Rakhmonov's training partner, Shavkat Cherchev Rizvan, a rising prospect training at ATT. spilled the beans during an interview with Russian MMA reporter Usha Taika. He described an explosive sparring session between Ilia and Shavkat that escalated beyond normal training intensity. I don't want to mention names, but a UFC champion came to our gym for a few practices. This was a couple of months ago. He was in incredible shape, power, and technique unreal, Rizvan recalled. Shavkat was gunning for him and wanted to spar hard. When they finally went at it, it was a serious brawl. Wild, intense, lasted a couple of minutes. The implication is clear. There's more than just professional rivalry at play. The tension between Ilia and Islam's camp runs deep, fueled by competitive pride and perhaps personal history. Given that Ilia is the only featherweight champ to have trained at ATT, a gym known primarily for its lightweight and welterweight stars, his presence there is a lightning rod for conflict. The details of the brawl remain murky, but it's evident that the competition between camps has transcended the cage and spilled into the gym environment, an area that usually represents respect and camaraderie. While all eyes are on the Topuria Makhachev saga and the escalating rivalries in lightweight and welterweight, the welterweight division itself is witnessing other battles that could shift the balance of power. Khamzat Chimaev, a rising star known for his aggressive style and unrelenting pace, is preparing to face Dusko Driz Popovic at UFC 319 in Chicago. On the Jackson podcast, former two-time bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw offered a critical analysis of Khamzat's preparations. Dillashaw's central warning was that Khamzat must push himself to new levels of conditioning, not just in strength or skills, but in the brutal mental and cardiovascular grind required at elite levels. Khamzat has to break in camp, not break down, but push himself beyond what he's done before. Fighting at that red zone heart rate, where lactic acid builds up and your body screams to stop. That's the kind of conditioning he needs to master. Dillashaw explained, if he doesn't train that way, Driz will gas him out late and take over. It's about mental toughness and relentless pressure in training. Dillashaw's insight reminds fans that physical skills alone don't win fights. The ability to endure, adapt, and push through pain is equally critical. Khamzat's team will have to balance intensity with recovery carefully if they want him to walk out of Chicago with the belt. The lightweight division continues to simmer with potential. Explosions, rivalries, title implications, and new contenders challenging the status quo. Ilia Topuria stands at a crossroads. If Islam Makhachev returns to lightweight, their fight will likely define the next era of the division. But in the meantime, Ilia has to navigate a minefield of hungry contenders, including the outspoken Paddy Pimblett and the strategically sound Arman Tsarukyan, who is eager to expose Topuria's perceived weaknesses. The brawl at ATT serves as a stark reminder that MMA is as much about psychological warfare as it is about physical combat. Fighters must maintain focus amid distractions and hostility from rivals inside and outside the cage. The stakes have never been higher. With UFC 319 approaching and the welterweight title on the line, the ripple effects will determine if Islam stays at 170 or returns to 155 to face Ilia. That fight, whether sooner or later, is the one fans worldwide are dying to see. Let me know if you want me to adjust the tone, add or remove sections, or continue expanding while the Topuria Makhachev saga dominates conversations. Other fighters and camps are quietly plotting moves that could shake the divisions even further. One key figure emerging in the shadows is Arman Tsarukyan, a fighter whose confidence and skills have him targeting Ilia Topuria with unflinching determination. Tsarukyan recently sat down for an interview with Daniel Cormier and didn't mince words about his views on Topuria. Despite Ilia's undefeated streak and highlight reel knockouts, Arman dismissed much of the hype surrounding him. Ilia is good, I give him credit, but he's not the challenge people make him out to be, Arman said. I was actually rooting for Charles Oliveira to beat him because stylistically, Charles would be a nightmare for Topuria. I'm telling you, if I fight him, it's going to be a complete demolition. I'm going to drop him from the pound-for-pound top to outside the top 15. Tsarukyan's bold claim is rooted in his belief that Topuria's wrestling is lacking a critical weakness against a well-rounded fighter like himself who thrives on a balanced MMA arsenal. I'm not just going to wrestle him, Arman added. I'm going to strike, kick, and use clinch work. I can tell from watching videos that his wrestling is not high level. He's good on pads, but not ready for what I bring. This declaration has ignited a new layer of tension around Ilia's reign. For a fighter who prides himself on versatility, being labeled as one-dimensional is a serious challenge to his credibility. Ilia, however, remains undeterred by the chatter. In fact, he seems to thrive on it. Known for his fiery personality and unshakable confidence, Topuria has used these attacks as fuel for his relentless rise. Adding to the intrigue is Paddy Pimblett, whose animosity toward Ilia continues to simmer. Despite shutting down rumors of a near-term fight, Paddy's public statements suggest he's ready for the eventual clash and holds no illusions about what it will mean. Meanwhile, inside the gym, tensions continue to flare. The brawl between Team Khabib and Ilia at ATT is not just a momentary outburst, but a symptom of a deeper rivalry, one that cuts across national pride, fighting styles, and personal ambitions. Reisman's account of the gym incident paints a vivid picture of how intense training environments can become a battleground beyond the cage. Shavkat Cherchev, known for his loyalty to Islam, Makhachev, and the Dagestani fighting style, clearly targeted Ilia with intent during sparring sessions, escalating the tension into a physical confrontation. This incident highlights the delicate balance fighters must maintain. Training partners are often rivals, but respect and discipline usually govern interactions. When that breaks down, as it did here, it signals the high stakes and emotions involved. Looking ahead, the question remains, will Islam's potential return to lightweight lead to a blockbuster showdown with Ilia, or will other contenders like Tsarukyan or Pimblett capitalize on the distractions to seize their moment? The next few months promise to be a pivotal period for the lightweight division, with UFC 319 and other key fights on the horizon. Every move, every training camp, and every statement carries weight. For fans, it's a thrilling mix of drama, skill, and raw emotion, a reminder why MMA continues to captivate audiences worldwide.